What it do? What it do? Welcome to another one over here, Game Chopping TV. Tap in, like, comment, and subscribe because we chopping this game over here, man. Had to tap into this one, man. So I guess here recently, man, that man Vlad TV. I'm from what it sounds like, he offered, he was trying to get Herbo to do an interview. The rapper Herbo out of Chicago tried to get him to do an interview. And this thing's been a little bit controversial with Vlad, and a lot of people and things he said here lately, or here recently in the past. And so, you got, people feeling a certain way, especially about even jumping on his show now. Some people feel like he's just using the culture for a dollar and got rich off the culture, but doesn't really respect the culture or the people in it. And just it's all about the money for him. Screw the people. People could go to heck. So, but Herbo has declined the interview with Vlad TV. So I guess Vlad felt some kind of way. He was disappointed about that. And he did an interview on his platform where he kind of spoke on, I guess Vlad's standpoint was like, hey, when, before Herbo was like really on, I guess is what he's saying, he was doing Vlad TV interviews, and, on the come up, he didn't have no problem doing it. And I guess Vlad saying, well, now once these certain artists get to a certain level, they start feeling like they're either too big to get on a Vlad interview or don't need them anymore. So it's like, I don't have to associate with you like that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of, where he's coming from with everything. It's just like, hey, yeah, when you was coming up, you didn't mind. Now you think you're too good to do a Vlad TV interview now. And Herbo, he had his response to that. He definitely had a response to that. But that's how, Vlad say he's feeling. And let's jump into this though. Hear it from the horse's mouth. Fair use, by the way. Fair use.
The artists feel that coming up they could do Vlad TV, but once they get to a certain level, they don't have to mess with Vlad TV anymore. Like, for example, like G Herbo, I was talking to his people about doing an interview, and ultimately he passed. But he did some podcast that got 678 views. Not 678,000, 678, less than 1,000 views. He spent an hour on this podcast, but he wouldn't do Vlad TV. But Vlad TV was interviewing him over and over again on his come up. But once he gets to a certain level, well, he don't want to do Vlad TV anymore because Vlad TV's the feds now. And whatever. I feel like that's lame. But that's life.
Does that bother you though? Do you feel, because it almost like
from
you feel
a
like
competition
it
level,
feels like
it
it's
does
almost
bother
like
me.
entitled, like
It does.
you're entitled to
Last say it bothers him a
he's
little
not
bit.
entitled to do anything. No one's entitled to do. Like, I don't feel as entitled, but I feel like a lot of artists feel that coming up, like if you do something for someone, most humans will try to return that favor for you.
Reciprocate it. Yeah.
I guess he's saying
the reciprocal being.
Now that you up,
I've learned over time
how come
that
you can't?
When people do something for me, I try to do something back. It may not be the exact same thing, but it's always in the back of my mind. So I feel like I'm thinking.
Let me see. So we see where Vlad's coming from with it, man, basically. But here goes G Herbo's response. He says, Vlad, you didn't do for me, like nothing at all. You think the interviews that you did in the past is what blew me up? You gotta be ishing me. You called me every time, not the other way around. Obviously, I had some kind of emotion. I didn't even know who the F you were. I didn't know who the F you was when I first did an interview. I promise I wasn't even in the loop back then. I just showed up wherever my team told me to. And I'll do another podcast and get 2 views. I do what I want to do. That's the exact reason why I'm not pulling up on your goofy A, because you care about views. That's why you do Well, no, that's why you do and ask the stuff that you do, and I'm not messing with it. I don't like what you represent, and you ain't got no principle. I don't give a f. Hold on, you don't give a f about me or nobody you interview. You gotta wait. No, he says you gonna get you gonna get somebody killed and sent to jail and be on the next, and then you're gonna be on the next victim. You hold on, and be on to the next victim you take advantage of for clicks and views. F you, buddy. You know what I'm saying? That's from G Herbo right there, man. Basically, he's saying, man, at that time, my team told me to do these interviews. I didn't know who you was. I was just doing the interviews. You know what I'm saying? And I guess he know off of now knowing who he is and I guess what he represents. He says, I ain't messing with it. I just ain't messing with it. And he says, all you care about is views anyway. He says, man, I ain't tripping. I'll do another podcast and get 2 views. I mean, I ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all you worried about is some views and stuff. So he, responded to him on that part, basically. That's crazy work, you know what I'm saying? But I will say this, that, I remember certain interviews from when them Chicago cats was, coming up. And I'll say this, that if anything on the real, those interviews kind of, kept him hot, kept Vlad hot. Because Chicago was just now coming up, in the rap game. A lot of them rappers was coming up in the rap game. That kept his platforms hot. To be able to get those interviews especially in those moments of when everything was coming up. And so, like, you had the Say Cheeses. You had all kind of DJ Academics. He always had his, input on Chicago business that was going on back then. So, it's not like, even though I guess they could look at it that way, as just, hey, yeah, he did interview us back then or interview me back then, but it's bigger than that with him. He don't like what you're representing, and I feel like those same interviews kept Vlad hot. I don't feel like it was a favor. I don't feel like it was one-sided. In those moments when they was coming up, you wanted to be able to get the fresh interviews like that with those cats. And like you said, if his team made him do it, he did it. I mean, But I don't know. This is where things at now, obviously, and Herbo ain't messing with it. But like I still say, so my take on it basically is, I don't feel like it's so one sided as what Vlad is saying. Like, oh yeah, when you wasn't, when you coming up, I let you on my show. No, buddy, those cats was hot. You was actually lucky to get those interviews because, like I said, they kept you in the loop and kept your show cracking, having those, exclusives with them, especially in that moment, So, but yeah, man, that's my take on it, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Is G Herbo wrong for not wanting to mess with Vlad? Or if he just say, I ain't mess with Vlad, that's just what it should be and left alone. Do you think Vlad benefited from those early interviews? I feel like he benefited. But then I can understand that too, of where he's trying to say that he's using that scenario of the person rocking with you before they get big. Once they get big, they get big headed and then act like they're too good for you. He's using that, and I don't know if they had a relationship, a close relationship outside of the interviews, and he felt like he owed him a solid or something. That's a different story, but I don't think that's the situation, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments, man. There's another one over here, Game Chopping TV. Tap in, like, comment, and subscribe, because we chopping this game over here, man.